This is the story of Michael and Heather Jones. Major trigger warning right here. This story is about the cruel abuse of a child. So I'll get it if you got to keep scrolling. Late 2011, Kansas City, Kansas. Adrian, who was then 3 years old, and his three sisters are being taken away from their biological mother after several reports of her drug use and leaving the children unattended. During the custody battle, Adrian's older sister went to go live with a family member of her choice. But Adrian's grandmother fought tooth and nail for custody of the younger three, but the judge granted custody to their father, Michael Jones. Almost immediately after moving in with his father and his stepmother, DCF, which is Department of Children and Families, started receiving anonymous hotline tips about the way Adrian was being treated in the home. It later came out that those phone calls were coming from babysitters of the children. They said that Adrian's punishments were excessive. In February of 2012, a Kansas child welfare worker went to physically go see Adrian, but determined that there was no signs of abuse. But with all this heat on them, this caused the family to move to Missouri. July 2013, about a year and some change later, Adrian, who is now 5, is being interviewed by a Missouri caseworker with a police present, and he directly tells them, "My daddy kicks me. My daddy keeps hitting me." This interview with Adrian didn't stem from Kansas City. Michael and Heather were still getting calls in Missouri, just like they were in Kansas City, about the abuse of Adrian. About a month later, on August 9th, the family is fully moved back to Kansas City, but a caseworker in Missouri contacted Kansas City to warn them that it is abuse in the household, but nothing is ever done. Early 2014, Adrian is placed in a residential treatment facility, but not because he's in danger, but because he's struggling to survive emotionally. Later that year in September, after all the documented of alleged abuse he was enduring, he was placed back with his father and Heather. Adrian's grandmother, Judy Conway, said that Christmas of 2014 was the last Christmas she was allowed to see Adrian. She had contacted DCF twice over the safety of him, but nothing ever happened. The day before Thanksgiving 2015, 29-year-old Heather called the police on her 44-year-old husband, Michael Jones. She stated that Michael pulled a gun out on her after she was leaving and taking the kids. She said he shot her and the bullet grazed her ear. When the police arrived and put Michael in handcuffs, Heather also told them, "If you look around our property, you will find the remains of a 7-year-old boy who's been missing for 2 months." The police came back the next day on Thanksgiving Day with a search warrant and found the remains of 7-year-old Adrian Jones in a pig pen. Yes, 7-year-old Adrian was fed to pigs. On December 4th of 2015, Heather did an interview with the news saying that she was out of town during the time of Adrian's death, but she could see it happening through surveillance that they had all through the house. She said that he died from the injuries sustained from his father. But during this interview, Heather is fighting for her life to get a tear out.
Mike knocked out my 2 front teeth when I tried to stop him from hurting Adrian. I told him that was enough, and that was probably one of the worst times that he had ever hurt me.
I didn't see not a nair tear. The house that Michael and Heather were renting was owned by a lady named Jennifer. She did an interview with the news showing the inside of the house while the two were incarcerated. I forgot to mention that Michael and Heather went on to have 4 additional children, just them, on top of Michael's other children. So it was 7 children living in the house, and Adrian was the only boy. The house was a mess. I can't even believe a family was living here. It was dead mice everywhere. It was trash everywhere. Bags of syringes, pornography just laid out in the house with 7 children. To see all these photos and videos, go to Daily Mail. I can't post all this on here, but you won't believe the stuff that was in this house. About 6 months after their arrest in July of 2016, Heather contacted the homeowner, asking her to log into her iCloud, so she can get pictures of her children. And when Jennifer logged into Heather's iCloud, Lord, what she seen. She found a file with videos and photos labeled "The Boy" with abuse spanning over 8 months. This photo right here is Adrian being forced to stand in a dirty pool with water up to his neck for hours. Now, the property had like 30 or more cameras, so they documented every single thing. Adrian was forced to stand with his hands in the air for hours on end, outside during any weather. If his hands weren't up, they were handcuffed behind his back, along with his feet being shackled. I watched a video of him with his hands and feet tied while outside, walking around looking for food. He was literally eating stuff off the ground. That broke me right there. Heather sent a Facebook message to somebody saying that I just strapped the boy to the inversion table. I love y'all. Good night. Apparently, they will strap him to this table for hours on end. It was so bad, till I seen a picture of his ankles afterwards and how swollen they were. This is where Adrian spent the last few months of his life, strapped to a chair in this shower, boarded up so he wouldn't escape. I seen a photo of his mouth where he had splinters and it was bleeding because he was trying to chew through the wood. As you can see, Heather is taking selfies in front of this and posting it on Facebook. She will frequently post in this group about what she wanted to do to Adrian. She boldly said that she wanted to shoot him in the back of the head. In one post, she said, "Well, I can't shoot him, but I can work him to death." Man, what? This is how small Adrian had gotten. I watched a surveillance video of him sneaking out to get a bowl of water, and somebody else came into frame and he hid and snuck back into the bathtub, which was his room. There's no clear date of when Adrian died. They're saying between September or October of 2015. But when he died, his father, Michael Jones, went out to purchase some pigs. Now, Adrian's body was left in that tub for 2 weeks until his father bought the pigs. And when his father bought the pigs, he still didn't feed the pigs for a good amount of time because he wanted the pigs to be hungry. That's when he threw his 7-year-old son out there in the pen. Both Michael and Heather pled guilty and was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 25 years. This case was hard. You really have to be strong to watch those videos and to look at those photos. And I still didn't even go through everything. They did so much to him, and the system failed him tremendously. They should have just gave him to his grandmother. Shit like this pisses me off, Yellow Tape.